because then I'll forget. So good, we have some more people popping on. Hey guys.
Can
Awesome.
you guys see
Okay.
me on there?
Who is that?
Sarah.
I know,
No.
I can't see you.
That's so weird. Okay, I don't know why, but hi, I'm waving.
You have
You
to
can hit
you
start
have to
video.
start video in the bottom left.
Start video.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're on a laptop, it's on the bottom left. Sorry to interrupt you, Kelly.
It's okay. Go ahead. You can continue. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll act like we see you. How about that?
Okay, cool. Hi.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Your audio is also a little bit muffled, Kelly. I don't know if it's because you're on your headphones.
Okay, is that any better?
A little bit. It still sounds a little weird, but.
All right, let me just go off of it.
Okay, is this different?
Yeah, that's better.
Now I can't hear you guys.
Oh.
I hate Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back on here.
That's
Otherwise,
fine.
I can't hear you guys.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so here we go. And then if you guys have questions, put it in the comment section, but we're going to open it up at the end too. So if there's anything that you're like, oh shoot, I don't want to forget this, just put it in not the comment section, but the chat, and then we'll make sure one of us will answer it or we'll go over it at the end. Here we go. Okay, defining your brand. So this is honestly, guys, the biggest part of what we do. So you're not selling Beachbody. You're not plastering Beachbody all over your feed. In fact, it's okay if people don't know what you're doing. And I sometimes take that as a compliment because I don't want to be drinking my shake and holding up Shakeology. And I know a lot of you guys know this, but just as a reminder, it's okay to do in your stories, to share, what it is that you're doing day in and day out that's working for you, of course. But sometimes I think what happens is it looks like we are drinking the Kool-Aid. So I want people to know, like, I'm still Kelly. I'm still the same person. I'm super passionate about these programs. And so, hold on a second. I need to make that smaller. There we go. So every platform is different. So a lot of us use Instagram for our business. And I know some of you guys use Facebook. In fact, in the beginning when I started, I got a lot of business from Facebook. And so don't think that you cannot get business there. It's just a little bit different. So I look at Facebook as kind of not like, when I say real life, it just means, doesn't mean like Instagram's not real life. It just, you're showing maybe like 5, 6 photos, or you're showing like, 20 photos from your trip instead of like 1 or 2 or 3 photos on Instagram. Someone needs to mute themselves. And so I look at Facebook as, yes, don't think that you can't get business there, because you can. You got to be there connecting with people, sending birthday, happy birthday wishes every single day. Look at whose birthday it is. Engage with people on Facebook, especially if you have a really good warm market there and you didn't really have a warm market on Instagram. But I look at Facebook as like, those are my closest friends, and people are a little bit more protective there. So, who they follow and who follows them. And I look at Instagram, people are scrolling to connect. People are scrolling to find inspiration, and they want to see, scroll stopping photos. They want to see photos that, are clear, colorful, crisp, bright. And I'm not saying you need to do it exactly how I do it, but this is just a quick example that of my boys and I. Like, the one on the left is completely fine. But as you can tell, when I brightened it up with the filter that I use, it just looks brighter and hopefully a little bit more colorful, more crisp. And so I keep it pretty consistent with having those bright photos. The reason why I chose these two other ones was because these are two that have nothing to do with Beachbody. I'm not always showing a fitness photo. I'm sharing like, okay, here I am. I wanted to take a picture of myself because Nick doesn't always want to get in them. This is before date night. And because Nick has said to me, Kelly, they don't want to see me. They want to see you. And I'm like, you're right. But I also want you to be thrown in there because you're a big part of my life. But if he gets uncomfortable with it, I'm not going to push it. So they're like, okay, I'm going to set up my little selfie stand. Nick, I'll meet you in the car. As you can see, my door is open, our front door, and he's waiting for me. And I was like, give me 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And so I took a picture of this because I want people to be like, oh, okay. I talked about date night. I talked about how I'm excited to get out, that I'm into fashion. People are always asking me what I'm wearing. That's a big part of who I am and hopefully what people will be attracted to, not just the fitness side. And then this one on the right is just real mom life, right? Like I have 3 boys and this is crazy time. This is when it's bedtime and I wanted to make the picture pop. As you can see, all of these kind of have the same bright look and I'm using the same filter and I'll go over which ones those are. But my point of picking out these 3 photos was to kind of show you guys that it's not just about, sharing a running photo, sharing yourself in your garage or wherever you're working out in, because yes, that's a huge part of who we are. But sometimes I think that we think that's all we got to post because now we are a coach. And really that's not the case at all. It's attraction marketing. So you want people to be attracted to you for just who you are, your life, and little bits and pieces of that. Okay, so know your brand. What does your page look like? So if you go to your page and you want it to kind of stay consistent, so with the colors, fonts, emojis, lighting, video format. So video format is I just threw that in there because if you do put videos on your newsfeed, I would stick to the same type of, kind. So people like identify you as like, okay, I know what I'm getting. And that's the same with lighting. I think the biggest thing is, sticking to the same type of filter, whatever it is that you're using. There are so many apps, you guys, not just the Instagram way or Instagram ones that you can do on Instagram to brighten up your photo. I will never stop a photo on there before I brighten it up and use something. So yes, you have to write down 5 unique traits that make you you, because that is how you know who you're talking to. So in the beginning, when I started, you guys, I knew I was a mom. I knew I was, in the stages, in the trenches with 2 under 2. And I was also working at the time. So I was talking to, how to make time for myself, being a busy mom and being a working mom. So that has transitioned now because now I'm a full-time coach, a mom, but I'm still talking to those working moms because that's what I did for 2.5, 3 years before I became a coach and full-time mom. So I make sure this is who I'm talking to, the busy mom of 3, boy moms, stay-at-home moms, working moms. Okay, I want to share that I love wine and coffee, pizza, date nights. I'm a runner mom. I throw those in the mix. I want to attract women who are struggling to feel confident. So I try to go back to how I felt, when I was on my postpartum journey, or when I, didn't have these programs and I was working out for an hour at the gym or going to a fitness class, spending money that was like $25 a class. Like I'm going to talk about that. I also throw in a lot, you guys, now is the community, because that is a big reason why I love what I do, is because of you guys. I love the connections that it's, brought me, the friendships that I never thought was, much until I really dove in and was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I get to be surrounded by people who I'm working with. This is my job, but at the same time, go on trips with and see each other on every week, pretty much. And you form this bond that you don't really form with your other coworkers. I'm also talking to those people that have a passion for passion. That's not supposed to be that, passion for fitness and health. So yeah, I do want people that, are, maybe it doesn't need to be exactly how I was, but I loved health and fitness. And I think that's the easiest way for me to get those people who already have a passion for that. So I'm talking about that, or those that want fulfillment outside of just being home. They want to be contributing to their family. They want to be finding something outside of their corporate job like I did And that's really what drove me every single day in the beginning, was because I was waking up and going and leaving my kids every day for work. And I realized once I found Beachbody, like, I am not passionate about leaving my kids, driving around town, calling on doctors, barely give me any time. And I just thought, I can't make this my whole my career. I don't want this to be where I am in 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road. So that was what my vision was. That's not going to be your vision, you guys. You might not, have the same story as mine. So don't think you need to recreate of what I just shared with you. You need to find your unique traits that make you you, and then that's who you're going to be talking to. Find apps, obviously, that help. So on your news feed, your IG feed, look at it as your storefront, and look at IG stories more as kind of the messy scene. You're giving them snippets into your real life. Like your hair can be a mess. It could be just, sharing like just the real nitty gritty of who you are, right? And then I personally think that your Instagram feed, and I'm not saying because it needs to look perfect, that's far from what I'm saying. It's more of now, you guys, you want people to stop and then, they look at your first 9 photos really and go, do I relate to her? And they're either going to click follow or they're not going to follow you. And it's going to be because, okay, what is she sharing? What is she doing? Do I relate to her? And that's what I do. I'm constantly, you guys, doing an audit on my pictures, of what I'm sharing, what's getting traction, what's not. So going back to the apps to enhance your photos, there's Snapseed. I know Nicole uses Snapseed. I know quite a few of you guys have used Snapseed. And then there's also Photo Editor. The thing is this, like, we're going to tell you some tips, but then you have to get those apps and you have to play around with them. And go on YouTube, say best way to brighten up photos on Snapseed. There are so many tutorials, you guys, that will share and show you how to do this. And then I use a preset filter. So I know Danielle McKean does as well. I know Kim does now. And a few of them have gotten them for $5 off of Etsy. I actually went on Etsy today just to kind of search, and I put in preset filters, and there were a ton that were really good for $5. So if you feel like, yeah, but Kelly, I already have my theme and you like it, that's great. Stick to it. We're not saying to change. We're just saying if you're not using anything, that you should consider doing either Snapseed, which is completely free, or look at one of these preset filters. So I use Alexa Jean Brown. I've actually morphed it to my own because I didn't like the orange look. It just wasn't me. I did it for like maybe a month, and I'm like, I just didn't feel comfortable with it. Maybe it looks so orange and fake. So I played around with the lighting in Lightroom, which is an app. So, and then I know Kim uses Boss Babe presets. So I know they just had a deal for like $10. You can download their preset. So it's up to you what you want to do. But before you even go into Snapseed or you do these preset filters, you guys have to understand that you have to be taking good photos. So you might say, oh, my house is small. Oh, I don't have a lot of lighting. No, you do. You can find it. You can make it happen. So if there's a window behind you, then that's not the right way to take it. The window should be, if the window should be right here and I'm smiling where I'm getting that light coming in, I set my tripod up and I have it so it's bright and airy on me. If I have my camera and stand over here and the backlight's here, it's going to look a lot darker and it's just not going to look, even if I try to brighten it up, it's not going to look good. So you want to have a lot of natural light. So like I said, get in front of a window, get outside, get those good crisp photos. And then they're still real life, you guys, but you're just brightening them up, right? You're making them clear, you're making them brighter. And then make clean paragraphs using the apps for lifehost.com. So you might see some of us were able, instead of doing like the little dots in between paragraphs, which I know some still do, and that's totally fine. It's really up to you how you want to do it. But it just is nice and makes it look so it's not just one big paragraph. I think you should be breaking it up because I think sometimes too, if we're always sharing really long posts, people are going to be like, whoa, and they're not going to even look at what you wrote. And you could have done a really, really good post. You have to remember, if you're staying consistent, and I tell myself this on the daily, you guys, where I'm like, I don't know what to share. Oh, I'm in a funk, like writer's block, whatever. Like it happens to all of us. I just have to remember that I'm sharing something almost daily. So get over it. Just, you know what? Look at what you haven't shared in a while. You know, maybe you just need to put a picture of your kids up there and just say life's crazy, or, you know, how's everyone else's evening doing? Mine's, you know, chaotic with 3. Just whatever it is. Sometimes those are the best posts when you don't put much thought and time into it, because guess what? Your other posts will. And then my favorite equipment, you guys, we have all of this in our team Google Drive with the Amazon links, but I wanted to give you a visual. So I use this little selfie stick, and as you can see, it has a stand, and I brought it to the park yesterday when I saw Nicole. It fits into a really small, like literally it's super small, because it goes down and then you just open it up. And I had it for Nicole, and I was like, Nicole, you and I are always trying to figure out where to take a photo. And so I'm like, I'm bringing my selfie stick. And I sat it up, we took a photo. And even though we didn't use it necessarily in our, you know, in my main feed, it was in my stories, it still was better than nothing. And then I love this tripod. I use it every single day. It's how I share my workout videos. And then I literally take it with me around my house if I don't want to bother Nick to take a photo of me, or when he's not home and I know I don't want to have all these photos in my garage, I will, you know, on a weekend, take some photos in different places. Maybe we're going out to dinner and I'm in a nice outfit and I'm like, oh, I finally blow dried my hair. I have some makeup on. For once, let me take a photo. And even though I'm not going to use it tonight, I will sprinkle it in my post later on. And hi, babe.
I want some pretzels.
Okay, there's some down there. There's some down there. I think I put them back. Or have Will get it. Yeah. Sorry. He wants pretzels. And then I know some of you guys have the newer 18-inch ring light, and I had it and it broke, so I need to get it again. But that is really something that you don't necessarily need. You don't need to be spending $90 on it, or maybe it's $60, depending on the size. But I don't think that's you know, something necessary that you have to do. But I do love these Camkix wireless remotes. I actually bought, I think, like 6 of them. And they are teeny, teeny, tiny. They're little remotes, and it's Bluetooth. So instead of me having to go up to my phone and be like, okay, go, and then I back up and it gives me 10 seconds, I can actually have that little clicker and I can get in the position that I want, and then I do the little clicker. It costs $7, you guys. And I think it came in a pack of 2 or 3 for $7. Okay, so the biggest thing, you guys, is share you. So those 5 things that I told you earlier that you need to figure out who you are, that's what you're going to be sharing in your post. So people want to know you. They don't want to see you selling stuff. Yes, you are inviting them. Absolutely. And you should never feel yucky about that, because it's changed you in some way or another. But you got to be real. You got to be authentic. And you haven't changed just because now you're titled as a coach. Like, I think in the beginning when I started, I was like, okay, I'm a coach. I got to be perfect with my workouts and my eating. And, oh, you know, if I'm going to coach people, I really got to be on my A game. And no, actually, that made it look like I was not human. And so you guys, share your struggle, share how, you know, you're still going to have pizza, and when you go on vacation, you're going to live it up. And, you know, but you've learned that you can have that kind of lifestyle by the programs that you're on. You know how to wake up tomorrow or on a Monday, and you know how to get back on track. So yes, you are a coach, but you're not Beachbody. Okay. Like, you're not Beachbody. You're still, like, I'm still Kelly. And I want people to be like, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to join you because you look like you're having fun. You love fitness. You're getting it done with your kids. You have energy. You seem positive. Like, I need to do whatever it is that you're doing. And so that's what I want people to say. Not that, like, oh, Kelly's just some Beachbody coach. Okay. Like, obviously, in my opinion, it's obvious, but I don't come out and say, like, Beachbody, Shakeology, and all that. I say I'm a coach. Yes, I say that I'm a health and wellness, you know, coach. And we're not all workout selfies, sweaty selfies, workout pics, and Shakeology pics. So the last thing you want to do is have your Shakeology and be chugging it and take a picture, because that's when people are like, oh God, she's drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, oh, another one of those people that's, you know, sharing those photos. Like, I don't like it when I see that. So I know that, you know, and that's not saying for Beachbody, I don't like it when I see it with, like, Isagenix or Just another one of those out there where it's just so like blatant in your face. Share what it's done for you. Absolutely. Put it into a pretty cup and take a pretty picture with it, right? Like that's fine, but don't have the label on it. And your stories, absolutely, that's fine. But I think if you want it to be on your main feed, just, make it look a little bit prettier. Don't be slapping Beachbody and Shakeology all over your stuff, because you know what, you guys, you are you, and they will buy from you when they feel like they trust you and they feel that they relate to you, not what you're selling or what you're offering. So sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not being obvious. Like I need to put some more invites out there, but really that's what's going on behind the scenes, right? So if I am sharing who I am and little bits and pieces of me on my newsfeed, and then I start sending those private invites, they're going to be like, I've been watching you. I kind of do want more information. What is it that you're doing? So there's a reason why they're following you. Give them a reason to give you their time. So exactly, what are you offering? People want to know you're consistent. So you can't do a post one day and then be like, okay, I put my challenge group post out there. All right. And then wait 3 or 4 days to do another post. People need to get to know you. And the way they do is you've got to stay consistent. And if that's just in your stories, that's fine. If you're only sharing your workouts in your stories, that's totally fine. But make sure that you are incorporating, what you're doing, a transformation pic, etc., in your newsfeed. Okay, Nicole, I think this is yours.
Yeah, so this slide is actually a lot of stuff that we've already covered, but I'm gonna go over it just so that you guys get kind of my spin on it too. So as Kelly was saying, people will decide to follow you if they connect with you. So like, for those who don't know me, my brand is, I'm a twin mom, I'm a girl mom to 3. I'm a runner. I run 7 marathons. So I would say I'm a serious runner who has transformed. I was just talking to Kelly about this lately, is my like new brand is people who used to be hardcore runners who are now like kind of struggling with motherhood and figuring out how they're going to continue to train for serious races, or if they're going to at all now with young kids. So that's more specific of my niche or of my brand. And things people know, like people know things about me, like they know that I like Phil's coffee. I've literally had strangers on Instagram say, I went to Phil's because of you. Like multiple people have told me that. Or like you want people to have things about you, like know things about you that they think of you. Like I've told this story a few times, but there's a girl that Kelly and I both follow, and every morning she posts a picture of her like cinnamon peanut butter banana toast. And it's like, you just like that consistency, like you think of her when I think of like heavily cinnamoned toast. Like it sounds really silly, but it's like people just, we all fall in love with the story and the people, and you're kind of like a protagonist almost in like a book and like, or in a TV show, and people are getting to know you. And the more they get to know you, and almost the more that they can like, it's like you want to also kind of be predictable in the sense that like they want to see that toast the next day, even though they don't care about the toast, but it's like they would notice if you didn't have it. So like things about, like for me, we do date night every Thursday night, and I share that in my stories, and then occasionally I'll do a post on it. But really it's just about telling stories. Like I have conversations. The people who come to me, they're almost always people with young babies. I have attracted so many twin moms since being a twin mom, and so many runners, because I'm sharing running. So if you're not a runner, and if you're not a serious runner, like Kelly, for example, she'll share running posts on occasion, but she doesn't get the same kind of runner, I would say, niche as I do. So like, don't try to force it. Just be who you are. That being said, I do think that having something that's a niche, something about you that people come to Instagram to find is very helpful. I was just thinking about this because, so like for Kelly, maybe it's like fashion could be one of those things. Or for me, it's runners. Like there's like a whole community on Instagram of people who are just on there to share their running workouts. So it's pretty easy for me to connect with runners. So if you can think about something about you that is something that brings people to Instagram, that is a great way because it's easier to start conversations, and motherhood is one of those things. So for example, if your child is 9 months old, look for hashtags 9 months old, like get that specific in who you are, that your child is that young. So continuing on with facts. So facts tell and stories sell, and you're going to hear this a lot. So this is kind of going more into like the text part of your post, but on social media, it's just super important to tell a story. When you're just throwing information at people, like you will see me and Kelly do this sometimes where we will just be like, my next boot camp starting at this time, but that's because we've told the stories in the past to lead up to it. You can't just throw up a text, like even on an Instagram series, like if, Kim will share those ones that say the next boot camp starting these days. You can't not set the groundwork with your story and then expect anyone to respond to those kind of messages on your stories. In the sense that people need to know like why you joined Beachbody, what is the original story? What's your story now? And so those need to be in your main posts, telling those kind of longer stories, or doing videos in your Instagram stories that people are getting to know like who you are, why are you doing this? So I have different stories that I weave in. And so some of my stories are about running and about my past with running. I've had multiple like Boston qualifying attempts. So that was kind of when I was first coaching, I would talk a lot more about that, like stories from my marathon training days. But then I often talk about, even go far back to when I discovered P90X in 2011. So my original story. So my growing up, I struggled with my weight. I yo-yo dieted and had really unhealthy habits, but I will go into details of like, I was addicted to frozen yogurt. The people at the store knew who I was. Like they knew, like I got it 5 days a week. I thought that it was healthy for me. And the reason I did is because the calories were on the board, and they said that the thing that I was eating was 8 ounces. So I multiplied 8 ounces. I've told this story multiple times. 8 ounces by like whatever the calculation was. I thought I was eating 150 calories of yogurt. I was really eating 600 calories of yogurt almost every day. So that is one of my stories that I tell. So these are like the detailed stories that like it's not like you're going to go out today and like blab this whole story out, but like just taking some time to reflect and sit down and think, who am I? And what are all the reasons that like, what has brought me here? And write them down so that you can use them in your posts and in your story, like Instagram stories, like tell stories through video. They do limit the videos now to a minute. So don't talk for over a minute. Otherwise you're going to get cut off in the Instagram stories. But when people see themselves in that, and don't be like, I know another thing that people get afraid of is they get afraid that like, oh, if I just talk to like, sometimes I also talk to like, I'm a former accountant. So I will be telling a story about my corporate job and how I used to be in accounting and how it was never something I was passionate about. And then sometimes in the back of my mind, even I'm like, oh man, but what about the people who like really actually like their jobs? You can't think about that. You just have to tell your story because that's what it is, right? You're going to connect with someone, but if you just say, I used to work full time and that's it, like no one's going to like be connecting to that story. You have to go into the details. Like I was in corporate accounting. It was never something for me. I went to school for 5 years and then, I added on to be an accountant. I got my CPA license. It was a huge deal. And then I hated it. So, and I felt trapped and I just didn't feel passionate. I went back to work after my daughter was born. I was pumping, I was commuting, I was washing bottles at night. I had no time for me. And I found Beachbody and it gave me just like this excitement and this positivity. So these are the kind of stories that I'm weaving in. And these aren't like Kelly said, you're not going to be wanting to do these giant long posts every single time, but like maybe 1 or 2 of those stories a week. And then even like little stories, like, example is like, say you had or I guess I have an example of this coming up, but like you didn't want to work out that day. Instead of saying, I didn't want to work out today, but I did. Like good thing Autumn Calabrese was there to motivate me. That's not a good story. That's not a good story at all. A good story would be going into the details, like why weren't you motivated? Why were you tired? Like I'll show you the post that's coming up on another slide, but So another couple of things on here is just, I already covered the distinguish yourself from others. You're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. So just make sure you're yourself. Your brand also includes your city and your favorite places you hang out. So I just always make sure that I'm tagging a location in like my stories on my main feed. You can tag different locations, even if you're not there. If you're posting a picture of you on vacation somewhere, definitely post that because then you're getting a new one. But you'd be surprised by how many people are searching through hashtags or they follow locations and they might find you that way. So just always make sure you're using the location tag, and it's super easy to do that. So next slide. So just a quick mention of your bio. I added Kelly's bio here on this slide. So make sure your picture is you smiling and up close of you. If it's really far away, people don't know who you are. And the worst thing you can do is have not a picture of you. I think everyone has a picture of them, but make sure it's a picture of you. And ideally, if you're genuinely smiling, even if it means you have wrinkles, but I've heard and read that genuine smiles make people trust you way more than fake smiles. So if you can get a real smiling picture of you, that's the best. Ideally, you should have your full name. And if that makes you super uncomfortable, then you don't have to do it, but it also establishes trust again with your full name. And then bullet points, which these are going to be your bullet points with those 5 things that you wrote down earlier you thought of about you. Like these should be ideally incorporated into these bullet points. So you see, like, you know that Kelly is a wife and a mom, that she might want to put boy mom on there. She lives in California. She was a medical rep, but now she's working, or mom boss, which you're not sure exactly what that means, but you know that she runs a business, and that she likes coffee, wine, and fitness, which you're going to see Kelly talk about that in so many posts and or in her stories, and that she's a shopaholic. So you know when you come to her account, like what you're going to expect and what you're going to get. And so you also kind of, when you're doing that little audit of your own account, like make sure that what you have on your bio is actually being represented in your posts. So when people, if the way that Instagram growth works is you're engaged, maybe you go search a hashtag or someone finds you using a hashtag, and you're trying to get them to follow you back, and they come to your account and they see Kelly's profile and they're connecting with that, then they're going to more likely to follow her. But if they come to if you are searching for a hashtag for something unrelated to what's on your profile, and then they come to your profile, they're going to be like, well, I don't really see anything in common. So they might read your profile, but they're also going back to those photos. That's why the photos are so important. So I think it's more important to post maybe 4 or 5 times a week on your main feed. If you aren't going to be able to find quality photos, it's better to post less on your main feed than more, because you have the stories to get in front of people, but your main feed is going to be the way, like that, like she said, magazine cover that people are coming and like, they're going to assess, do I want to connect? Yes or no, based on just those photos. And if they're all blurry, crappy photos, then there's going to be a no, unfortunately. So you can go to the next one. Oh, I also said that you can show emojis just because they show a little bit of personality, but like if you're not an emoji person, then don't use emojis. I'm not a huge emoji person, so mine's like medium. So then you want to be, like I said, telling the stories and talking to yourself. So I don't know if you've heard of the term that your avatar. Basically your avatar is you. So another practice you can write down is just like, what does your avatar, which is basically you either now or in the past, like what are they struggling? Like what do they need to hear today? It's like usually if it's something I need to hear, then that's something that probably people who are like me need to hear too. So if I'm, like literally in tears, or recently last Tuesday, I did an Instagram story about how I hid chocolate in my pants so my 3-year-old wouldn't see it, and I'm PMSing. And that was like one of my most engaging stories ever. Like so many people were like, I've done this too. So like being a little bit vulnerable, I was like a little nervous to post that. But those kind of things, but those are the things where like a stressed out mom of 3 who especially if they see you as someone who's like maybe on a pedestal in terms of fitness and they can't achieve what you have, like showing some realness in there is also really good. But like, think about what your avatar is struggling with. So I think about like, if my old self, the working mom, like what was I struggling with? I was like, mom guilt, we all have it no matter what. Right. But like, it was worse then. Or like, I remember like being in the pumping room 3 times a day and being like, oh man, like they're all probably out there like, Nicole's never at her desk. Where's Nicole? And I had to leave at 4:45 to go to daycare. So you just want to be thinking about what makes your person, like your avatar, sad, what they're worried about, what they're happy about. And then just remember to connect with that person and no one else. And then just ask for advice also. Like, I think that's, so we didn't really dig into how the algorithm works too much, but the way the algorithm works on Instagram is the more engaging your post, the more likely people are going to see it. And the way that Instagram decides if you're engaging is if you get more likes and comments within like a certain time frame or overall. So asking questions is a great way in your story. I think it must have something to do with stories too, because but asking questions and doing polls really helps people, and the polls don't have to be about fitness or anything. I think that also helps your engagement and also helps you connect with people. Because if you ask for advice and you say like I need to ask for advice on how to get my babies off the bottle, that's a great way for me to just start a conversation with someone. And I probably won't invite these people to my challenge group and like that message, but it's just a great way to get more people commenting on my stuff and getting them just to be connecting with me. And then just kind of like, I like to share things that make me laugh. Like if someone else is sharing things, another way you can also, that can help your in social media is if you're sharing other people's posts to your stories. Like if someone has a funny post and you're like, oh, or if you enjoy watching someone, you share them to your feed. It's kind of like reciprocal, like they'll scratch your back later, even if they don't, but just kind of sharing things that are you, and keep talking about that, but it's true. So this is an example of the stories, and like, this is like a realness post that did really well. And it's one that I was actually really nervous to post. Partially because my house is a giant mess in the photo. And, I don't know. It just like, I was like, I don't know if it's that good of the quality of the photo is actually not as high as I would have wanted, but I posted it anyways. And I did this, the description is what I kind of wanted to dig into, where that's like, I see those people doing those posts where it's like, didn't have the motivation to work out today, but I did, yay. And then you just got to dig into why. So like this says like, today was all kinds of crazy. It was my full-time mom day, which I love. It's exhausting. Add in a minivan with a flat, terrible night of sleep for everyone. Infant Tylenol all over the wall, or my baby's face because I accidentally pushed the syringe too hard. By 4 p.m. I was staring at the clock wishing it was bedtime. And then I talk about why I did the workout. And then I asked a question at the end, which I actually don't think that question really was very motivating. When I said, what motivated your workout today? And I really don't think anyone responded to that question. So that actually wasn't that engaging of a question, but that's the kind of things you learn as you go. So I know we're giving you a ton of information right now and it can be overwhelming, but these are all things that Kelly and I have learned over time. And to us now it's second nature. And I've learned what stories work, which stories don't. I've learned, I've also learned that like sometimes these kind of posts just roll off my fingertips and I'm just able to like make these well-written posts. And other days I just don't have it in me. You guys, it's not like every day we're going to wake up and like be able to write these amazing posts. Sometimes you just either don't post, it's fine, but don't go 3 days and without posting. So if you've gone 1 or 2, then just be like, okay, I need to mentally prepare like during my peak time. So for me, that's like the morning. Then I'm going to like write out a post even if I don't use it. So you kind of have to plan for that kind of stuff. But just know that it's not always going to be amazing, but you're going to learn. You're going to keep growing and you're just going to keep doing it. You have to just keep doing it in order to know what works and what resonates. This one's you, Kelly.
Yeah. Okay, so this was something interesting. So if you guys do have a business account, which most of you do, that is the beauty of what you can do with a business account is you can actually do an audit. And so it will show you which posts are doing well. So these are in order of the most posts that got the most engagement. So like I said, it's not all fitness based. it's me being like this one right here, which I don't know if you can see my mouth, but it's when I'm like scrunching my stomach and being like, I have loose skin too. Yeah, I had to scrunch my stomach there. I'm someone who, doesn't have a lot of weight to lose. I know that, but I also do have loose skin. And I want moms to know that who think of me as the girl on the left. Like, oh yeah, I'm flexing, I'm ripped, where it's like, no, actually, if I bend over, this is what I get. And, and the picture of myself and obviously my kids always does really well. But I'm sharing, a story with it. I'm sharing me, but I really try to look at this, you guys, and go, not like, oh, okay, great, this is what did well. I just kind of go, okay, what's working for me? What's not? What receives the most engagement? What time of the day should I post? And I find you don't always want to post every single day at the same time, right? So obviously we have told you guys that like usually 7, 8 p.m. is good. Those are really good for like your call to action posts. But I also think if that's the only time that you're posting, then it's like you're probably not going to get the same eyes on you. So it's actually good to mix it up. And if it's like in the morning, if I do 2 posts a day, it's either like I'll do first thing in the morning at 7 or 7:30, and I already have it planned. And then if I feel like I need to put in a lighter post, or maybe I'm like, oh, I need to get an invite post, I'll do it that evening. And then what I also do is what can you do more of what your audience will like? So, if you can take a look at the photos, and maybe you don't have this, right? Maybe you're like, well, I have a personal account, you switched it back and you're not really sure, but you can go through your photos and be like, okay, what are people liking? And maybe you're just starting out and you're like, well, I don't really know. Just make sure that you got to throw anything out there in the beginning. You got to stay consistent, like Nicole said. And what I mean by throwing something out there doesn't mean, okay, I just took a selfie, it's just a picture of my head and it's really dark. Okay, but I had to get something out there. That's not what I mean. What I mean is this, like you need to start somewhere. So if you've been a coach for a while, like you know how to evaluate yourself. But if you haven't, I think the biggest thing that others do is it's like analysis paralysis. You're like, okay, watched the National Wake Up Call. I listened to the training that you did and I did that podcast. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, motivated. And then you don't post for like 2 days or 3 days. And you think that you did, but you're not. And even if you're doing stories, I had to tell one of my new coaches today, I said, hey, you're doing awesome. Like, but you haven't posted since the end of April. And it is the 14th. And I'm like, like she's excited. She has her first coach. She's doing well. She's, getting people results. But I'm like, your people need to see your newsfeed. In order to get new people on you, you have to be posting every other day, start out 4 or 5 times a week. I always say I shoot for 5 times a week, and usually it's 6 or 7. But like I said, we have those days where you're, losing motivation or you don't know the right words. And sometimes if you don't have that, like, info, then maybe it's just, you don't have it in you right now. So your post might come off negative or it might look a little forced. And I think that's what Nicole was saying earlier. Just don't put something out there just to put something out there. Put some thought into it. Oops, I went over here and this is Nicole's.
Oh, I was just going to do a quick thing on hashtags because we have some newer coaches, I don't know, or whatever. I'm just going to do hashtags since not everyone might know about like what the etiquette is. I recommend using at least 10 up to 30. There's like, I don't know, there's debate on how many you should use. So I kind of vary it. But I would just say hashtags should represent your brand and not use Beachbody terms. Cause if you're just if you do 21 day hashtag 21 day fix, hashtag Beachbody, hashtag all those, you're just going to get coaches following you or it's just no point. So, and also as we've talked about before, if someone sees you had this great workout and then you use hashtag 21 day fix, they might just go on Amazon. Literally, I've had people do that and be like, oh, I bought 21 day fix on Amazon. Thanks. And you're like, okay, now you can't even switch to me as a coach, as your coach, because you already bought it. So that's kind of a bummer. But you want to kind of switch them up, and I keep them like in like a folder on my notes, and then I will just like, so if you look at this one, this is the one for the hashtags I used on Saturday. I did a post about like running down memory lane, being like in my old running community, and kind of gave some stories from my past. But I don't usually use USD alumni, but I went to University of San Diego and I decided to throw it in there. And I was in Mission Beach. I don't usually run in Mission Beach. So it was a great way for me to use that hashtag and to tag the location. But then a lot of these I use over and over again, like hashtag half marathon. Ideally, I've heard that you want your hashtags to have less than 1 million posts, because if you do the really popular ones, like hashtag pregnancy maybe is probably a giant one. It'd be better to do something more specific. So I'm sure some of these, you're not going to be perfect. Like I can't look up every single one every time. Sometimes I'll just throw ones in there and like, I don't know how many they have. But just kind of say various versions and then you can switch them out, just so that you're getting in front of some different people. And sometimes like the way that I'll find hashtags is I'll go to people who are similar to me, who maybe are like use hashtags a lot. And I will go look at what hashtags they're using and get some new ideas. And sometimes I'll get like 10 fresh ones to like rotate in. But I don't want you to be spending like so much time on hashtags though. So,
Oh, sorry.
That's it. Do you have any last thoughts, Kelly?
I feel like I missed something. Oh, I missed this one.
Oh.
Okay. I'm just going to briefly go over this so we can do questions. So I just picked a couple people here, and I did Nicole, because you guys all know Nicole, and she does a great job with her Instagram. It's her main platform, really. And she's growing a great business here. So when you look at her first, the squares that you see, you will see a lot of running. You'll see her kids. You'll see, before and after. It catches your eye, right? You'll see some clear photos of her smiling at the camera. We all hate doing those because you're like, oh, you are your own worst critic, right? But you guys, you just got to do it. You got to do it. You got to build that confidence. And the reason why I wanted to show this is because it's kind of funny when you look at her color scheme. It's like she has the pink, circles up top, and then you see a lot of that pinkish color in her feed. She probably doesn't even realize she does that. I'm the same way. I have that coral look. But it's like, just shows like you got to figure out what your brand is. And then I chose Holly Hillier. She's been a top 10 coach. I love watching her life, and she shares a lot about how she does a lot of inviting to the coach opportunity. And she was a engineer, made over 6 figures. Her husband made like 400,000 as an engineer. She's retired her husband because she's doing that well with Beachbody. And she shares that a lot in her posts, right? But when you look at her feed, are you attracted to it? When you take a look at it, it's clear, crisp photos. She put some thought into it. So something that I've learned is like, it's okay, for example, to have posts already written out and then be like, okay, now I need to find a photo to go with this, and then figure out what photo that's going to be and store it for yourself. So anyway, I wanted to just show her hers, and then also Kim Fitzpatrick. And the reason why I wanted to show you Kim's is because, when you look at her, she has always a huge smile on her face. So it's like very, like welcoming. She's happy. It's not just kind of a tiny smile. She shows confidence. She got the post she did today with the second photo, it like showed her butt in her bathing suit, and she had cellulite and rolls. And it was like, I don't know what it's at now. We can take a peek. And I think when I last looked, when I did this, it was like at like almost 2,000 likes and like 100 comments. Those are the posts where people need to see that vulnerability. But I also wanted to show how she does these quotes. So, and it's not just quotes, it's just something that sticks to her. And I think when you decide to do, that kind of theme, when you want to throw in those blank picture or blank pages with a quote on it, I think that's fine. I just think that you have to make it so it's not just something like, did you get your workout in today, or happy Friday? And then like, because people are like, oh, cool. Like you have to have something where it's like, oh man, like, yeah, I feel that. Like if you look at her feed, she has a lot of these where she probably just got them off Pinterest and she stocked them up over time. She's probably duplicating them now because she's been a coach for a while and she has them saved up. but it's like, like she's consistent. You know that after that third pic, like her next photo is going to be a quote of some sort or saying or something that is motivating. But I just wanted to give you guys an example of just the different looks that you can have, because they're not, I don't think either of them use presets. I think Holly said she uses Snapseed, and she does the editing herself. She makes sure she always brightens up her face, because she's like, I never wear makeup. I'm always like tired, but she brightens herself up. And you can do that on Snapseed. You got to play around with it. So that was the only one that I missed, I think. And now I think we're good. So I know that there's, I don't know, is there anything in the chat bar?
Yeah, Kelsey said that she writes her posts on Plan, which is an app. I believe it's a paid app, but it's pretty cheap, right? I've downloaded it, and it allows you to like look at your feed and then plan out your posts to see how it's going to look in your feed. So if you are the type that are going to be that like to plan things out in advance, I definitely recommend that. I don't use it personally. I've downloaded it, but I haven't used it.
I use it, and I love Plan. It's PLANN. I absolutely love it. I don't utilize it as like all the features like that. You can schedule your posts and all that. I just like to put my pictures in there, and when I'm like need motivation, or I feel like I'm gonna like, I haven't left my house today. It's rainy and dark. Like, you know what? I'm gonna use a picture from when I was on the cruise today, and I'm gonna talk about fitting into that bathing suit or something like that, right? So it's just a way to stock up photos into an app. I know Shannon uses Planoly, Planoly, and I know that she pays a little bit for it, but it's like her being a working mom and busy mom, she has had to figure out. I remember we were like talking after she had her third kid, and she was getting like overwhelmed, and it's like, maybe you just need to have more of a strategy for your week. And you can tell Shannon is so consistent, and she will always have something out there, whether it's a fitness photo, her kids, asking questions to get that engagement. But she'll probably tell you a lot of it is probably on her Planoly on the app. And if you're not utilizing it, totally fine. We're just giving you guys tools not to overwhelm you. But like, some of us aren't as good about thinking on the fly, and some of us are. And since I've had 3 kids, I swear to God, I'm just like, what am I doing? I need to write everything down. I need to have my planner. I need to have my, I just need to be more organized than when I was on the fly before. And what you're doing now, I just have to put this out there. If you're like, I'm not hitting Success Club, I'm not getting people, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, you need to evaluate a couple things. You need to evaluate your news feed. Evaluate, but maybe you really like the filter you're using. Maybe you need to switch it up. Not saying that it's not good, but maybe you need a new look. Maybe you're like, you know what? I need to revive my page and go on Etsy. Just look. I want you guys to just take a peek, and because some of them I'm like, oh my God, no, that's not me at all. But like I said, there's some that have a lot of different looks to it to keep it consistent. I wanted to share Emily. She did our team call the other week. I don't know if you guys started following her, Emily Ruth, but she does a preset, and it's like very like, it's just very eye appealing, scroll stopping, and it's her look. Don't put a lot of text on words. Don't do a lot of collages unless you're doing like your before and afters. And like I said, brightness, clear photos. Get in front of that window.
Okay.
Hold on.
Questions. How do you change to a business account? I don't remember, but you can probably Google it. So
yeah, it's been so long.
I get it. What was the next question? Lisa.
You just have to go to settings.
Yeah, probably. They just changed the thing, so now I'm kind of lost.
You just hit the 3 bars, and then I think you hit settings, and then it's somewhere in there. Account.
You have to set up a Facebook business account first, and then you can link it to then you can have like a Instagram business account. And so I just made up like a random Facebook business account because it won't connect to a personal account. So I just made a random Facebook business page. Like I don't put anything on it at all, but I just use it all. I just did it so I could get the Instagram business account.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would Google it, Nikki, because it will share the latest on how to do that. Adriana, I want to understand what you're asking. You said your friends say that you're inspiring them to pursue their health, so they sign up for other things, like
Yes.
Weight Watchers and boot camps. So I haven't looked at your news feed or anything, but like, say that's for me. If someone said that to me, I would say, I mean, and it does every now and then happen. Where like people are like, I'm getting my butt back in the gym because of you, or I'm making up earlier because of you. I say thanks. I'm glad that I can provide some inspiration. Have you ever considered doing the boot camps that I run that are virtual? I don't say too much. I let them say something back, and usually they'll say, okay, what does that consist of? Because I didn't know. You never know what they think. I don't live in San Diego, or I can't spend a lot of money right now. A lot of people you need to know what their objection is, and then you can go over that objection.
Okay.
And then you can also ask them, was that working for you in the past? Because I also used to go to the gym, or I did Weight Watchers, but it wasn't sustainable. Not saying you want to bash what they're doing, but I just always let them know. They'll come around. And I'm so confident in what we have that I know they're going to continue to watch me if I stay on track and consistent. But you have to put that invite out there too.
But I'm giving lots of business to Weight Watchers in boot camps locally.
But that's not what you're promoting. So I don't know why that would, maybe it's not as obvious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure it out.
So maybe in a post, like when I get objections like that, like someone that says, I'm sorry, Kelly, but I'm an Orange Theory junkie, or I'm a huge runner. I say, oh my gosh, me too. I love running. In fact, I just did a half marathon. I'm a big runner. These programs have helped my endurance. Or I'll do a post on, I was that person that was rushing after work to fitness classes, or I made myself be like, okay, I'm going to make it to 3 fitness classes this week. And I did, yay for me, but then I didn't do anything the other days. So if you're someone that's doing those fitness classes, or you like to incorporate running and you love what you're doing, that's fine. Like Shannon talks about being a triathlete and going and swimming a lot, and how she's incorporated that into what she does. And I think I recommend this for all you guys, that if you're getting like the same type of objections, or people are telling you no because of money or time, or they're doing something else, then you need to figure out a way to share in your post. Not like that you're talking to them, but you kind of are. Like, like I said, I have used the example of, I used to be that mom running multiple times a week, going to Orange Theory, doing bar classes, going to boot camps, and I was spending a lot of money, and I realized I wasn't getting the results. And share what these have done by doing them in your home for 30 minutes. You can wake up. You don't have to worry about putting on makeup, or, fighting the crowd, or, like just say stuff that they're like, yeah, well, I definitely hate it that I have to do that right from work, drive to the gym, or I have to meet with a consultant from Weight Watchers every few weeks. I don't know exactly what that consists of, but if that's what your audience is doing, then you need to share a little bit more about your journey and why it's these programs, not just getting healthy and fit.
Okay.
Really dive into like the containers, and that's how it's helped you, because you know what you need to be eating now, but you can still live your life. Or you used to hate doing cardio, but now, since it's only 20 minutes, you can do it. Something on the lines of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to add that note about one of the reasons we need to be consistently posting on our main feed and our stories is that when we do those invites, we can still do invites. Like if you have a challenge group happening in 2 weeks, like ideally you're going to do at least 5 to 6 calls to action. That would be maybe 2 to 3 main posts. I would probably do like 2 to 3 main posts with like a join my group and asking in different ways. And then also stories, like a poll, and then I might do like DM me or fill out the form. But if you don't have a lot of content in between that, then obviously that's a ton of like call to actions. People are gonna be like, okay, stop inviting me. But you have to remember that a lot of people aren't watching your story, aren't seeing all your posts, and they're not seeing everything you do. So and they need to see it a few times, and you might need to invite them personally. So like, don't just assume because you invited to a challenge group one time in one post or twice that it was enough. Unfortunately, it's like people are just inundated with information. So I don't want you to be it's like a balance, and you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself too. But yeah, that's part of it. And also just making it clear that what you're doing, others can do too. And which can be as simple as like, there's room for you too, in like a casual feed, or in a casual post, not in like a detailed post.
Yeah, and then I know a lot of you guys have asked, how do you move your Instagram business account back to personal? And I know that can be annoying because you're like, I don't want to have to duplicate what I just posted on Instagram, but it's just how it is. I don't know if you could switch back to a personal account, but what you're posting on Instagram is different than what you post on Facebook. Not all the time. Okay, so Karen's done it twice, so you can. I would just Google it, and if that's really what you want to do, that's fine. Because if that's just easier, then absolutely do it. Then switch back. There are a lot of benefits to the business account, but like I said, you can always change it later on.
Does Catherine have a question? You're muted. Oh.
Hi, Nikki.
I think Catherine's trying to ask a question, but I can't hear her. Can you hear her? Okay.
No, where is she?
Where
are you?
I'm
going to unmute you.
To also remind you that like social media, it takes time. And so in the beginning, especially if you're newer, it's really like, go back to our last call about inviting, because that is really going to be where it's at, and especially in the beginning. Like the social media thing takes time, but like making these changes that we've shared with you is going to get more people following and liking and engaging with you. But it takes time. I mean, it took me a long time to build it up and to learn all these things. With like, I look back on my early days and I kind of cringe at some of the posts I did, but that's the way it is. And things have changed, but just remember that social media is a part of your business, but like in-person connections, real friendships, connections are equally, if not more, important.
And I unmuted you, Catherine. Uh-oh, not hearing you. You have two open. I see two of you. But you're not muted on my end, so it might be your audio. You can put it in the chat bar. Otherwise, I don't know what else to do. Is there, in the meantime, guys, is there anything else that you are struggling with or have questions on? Like, yeah, your audio isn't working. Well, we hope this was helpful. I know some of the stuff is repetitive and you can be like, I know this already, done that, or whatever, but it's always good to, like I said, do audits on yourself and take bits and pieces of this and hopefully just make those tweaks, little tweaks, and it comes with time. So you guys are doing awesome. Oh,
I have a question. Kelly, can you hear me?
yeah.
Oh, perfect. So the highlights on social media, the little the circles, how often should we switch them up or update them? I kind of forgot about them and
the highlights.
Just realized it, and I can't and for me to put something back in it that I wanted, I'd have to repost it through my stories.
No, it's all in your archive.
Oh,
Yeah, you can edit the highlight and you can see every one of your old stories, and you go to the archive.
oh, sweet.
Yeah,
And you
you
can
just,
edit the cover without putting it in your highlight or in your feed as well.
That's from the new update, right? I just noticed that.
It's been for a while, but
Oh,
I know I need to go back too. I've actually wondered that myself because I was like, when do I like take the old ones off? Like,
Mhm.
I know I haven't updated mine in a while.
yeah, it's just like a project, but I don't know. That's another thing because when people come to check you out, a lot of times they do go to those. So you want to make sure that they're up, like, or that what you're seeing is what you're, or what people are seeing is what you want them to learn about you, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, for our picture, can we like raise our hand if we're going to Summit? Okay, ready? Hold on, let me turn it around. Hold on, ready? Woo! I can't wait!
I know, it's going to be so fun. Big crew of us, you guys.
You know.
I'm
All
not,
right.
like, I'm not killing my business, but I love you ladies. And I am learning and growing, and I think that's fantastic.
You're doing
Yes,
great.
I love you.
Love you too!
All right, guys. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.